Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you? I noticed your bookmark was lip gloss.
I'm like, you just never know what I can find. Like, I eat these little keto bars like during the day, and a lot of time when I'm reading something or like writing something, like I'll open books and find these wrappers like stuck in as place. I'm like, whatever is
I
around
know.
me, I just grab it.
Oh, so it looks like you're reading Win the Day. I love that book.
Yes, I read it. And it's like
Do you
the
not?
best. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just love every minute of it. Which, by the way, did you hear any great books at family reunion? I wrote down some, but some of them I'd already read.
I didn't hear as many. The only one that I really want to read is the one by the keynote speaker, the Sean guy. I've not read that.
Oh, yeah, I've started that one. It's really good. It's called The Big Potential.
Yeah, so I've got that on my list. But other than that one, I didn't write any down this time.
Okay, well, I'll send you the list that I have and that someone else gave me. I'll send you that list.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about being unforgettable, and we first heard this concept from John. Kind of explain to the audience a little bit about what his thoughts are on that and why we decided to talk about it.
Yeah, man, I wish I had my notes pulled up from him, but I'll have to try to find them and share them. So the biggest thing when we were in Nashville at the John Maxwell Exchange last year, a few months ago now, he really poured into us about being unforgettable. And I thought, man, that's just like one of those things. When you meet people that are unforgettable, you don't forget them. You know what I mean? And so I was thinking, like, how could we continue to talk about that, and how could we come up with some ways that we think make people unforgettable? Because when you think about that, they're successful and they're people that everybody wants to be around, and they're people that, you know, they have great energy and all those things, and there are unforgettable moments. Sometimes it might not even be a person, but it might be, are you a person that creates unforgettable moments for the people that are around you? And I think there's a lot of power in that. And honestly, Linda, since I've been thinking about after that keynote speaker too, you know, I think it's important to talk more about this stuff, and in the time that we're in right now also, and just getting like our minds and our attitudes and everything kind of a shift from like just business, because that will come when you do the things that you need to be doing, like taking care of yourself and working on your mindset and learning how to become unforgettable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think of kind of what I've been drawn to this year. Like, one of my new coaching programs that I'm doing is with Joel Manby, who wrote Love Works. And just like Sean Acor, talked about it as the keynote at Family Reunion in Orlando last week. I think for years people tried to say business is business and love is love.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I think when people know that you care and love them, that's unforgettable. I mean, they don't forget that. And so I loved this, trying to sit and think about it, because you and I've been kind of mulling this around for weeks, which I like because it gave me a lot of time to look for moments when someone was unforgettable for me, or when someone had mentioned that I was unforgettable to them.
Yep.
So, one of the first things I think of, Dana, is that makes someone unforgettable to me is when their language, when they talk, they sound unique and they sound different and they sound interesting.
Yeah.
And I think because you and I are such seekers and we're such growth-minded people, that's attractive to us. And so knowing that the person we're talking to is either well-read or they're learning-based, to me, that's one of the first things that is important to me, is that they say something that's impactful, that is useful, and that is intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think that's a really great one. And it's true. That makes it, I mean, I'm just trying to think of some of people that I would think of that are like that. And it does make them unforgettable to you. One of the things that I thought of first about being people that are unforgettable to me, and one of the first words I thought of was authentic and genuine. And they're just real and they're unforgettable because they are who they are. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we both love and continue to follow John Maxwell so much is because what you see is what you get. I mean, John is the same in front of a room of, 50,000 that he is when there's 5 people around. And to me, I think that's unforgettable, and it makes me want to be like that. It makes me want to continue to grow and to be like that. And I think that when people, it's interesting, especially just coming off a family reunion and you get a big group of people together. And I think this is a total compliment, but I had a leadership team member from another office, not in our organization, say every time I'm around your group, your leadership team from Kentucky, I just feel so great. They're just all so good. I just love all of them so much. And how did you get such a great team? And I'll always say, because they're just them. I mean, what you see is what you get. They might cuss each other one day and then the next day later they love each other, but they're just genuine and real and authentic, and it's what's made us be a team that has stayed together. We've had no turnover, and I think that has made them unforgettable to other people when they meet them. And there's just a lot of power in that, and I don't know if that's something you have to work on or if it's something that you're born with. We've talked about that a lot before too, but I just feel like the authenticity and genuineness has a huge part of being unforgettable.
Yeah, and I think even I wrote down authentic also, but I also put in even if it's quirky. I
Yeah.
think if you're too polished or whatever, even if your
Yep.
authentic is polished, but if it's too polished and they don't see a little bit of quirky,
Yep.
it's not the same thing. But I just thought of different people that they were authentic and almost in their quirkiness, it made it even more real because they couldn't fake that, right?
That's
That's
just
authentically
them.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I put my number one thing I put down was that they're about others and they help others win.
Yeah.
And I think Big Potential says that. So many of our books say, if we can just take the focus off ourselves and help other people win, I think those are the people that are unforgettable to us because they help us win. They're not just out for themselves winning.
Yep. So that went right in with what the second thing word that I wrote down was impact, which is my word of the year. And I think for me, when you see someone or you're around someone that they are making an impact and they're doing it for a greater good or they're doing it for other people, it automatically makes them unforgettable in my mind. And I was refreshed to see a lot of that at the convention this past week. I felt like we were very much about making an impact and doing different things, and I just think it was refreshing. And that was unforgettable because some of my leaders brought that up on calls that we've had too. But I think unforgettable people to me, yes, are very it's people that that they are there for others, they're not just for themselves.
Yeah. And one I put down is doing what is in their best interest, even if it's not in yours, and especially if it's not in yours. I think when you looked at that Luke guy, was it Luke? What was the military guy?
Levi.
What about Levi? Gosh, I swear since COVID, I just like space out. So Levi, gosh, yes, Levi was so impactful. I mean, he said it. He will never forget the person that was a realtor that talked him out of buying a double wide one time, and that would eventually lead to him getting into real estate because that guy was so, uh, um, you know, about him and his best interest, even though he was going to lose out on commission.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a perfect story and example of being unforgettable right there. It changed a man's life and his trajectory eventually in life, and then many more lives because of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yep. I remembered, I just found on my phone, the thing that made me think about unforgettable was when John put up the picture, and I don't remember where they were going, but there was probably 15 of them in his plane, and he had them all stand up and do the hokey pokey. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
And when he said that, he said it's because I wanted them to remember that. I wanted it to be an unforgettable trip, and I wanted them to remember that we did that. And he said, but when you want to be unforgettable, you don't forget about having fun and making memories. And
yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with it too, especially when you have times or experiences, and I know you're very big on experiences that are unforgettable. It's typically because you spent time to create them and to make them unforgettable, and it was a true experience, and you either had fun while you were doing it or you made a difference or an impact, and or both. I mean, a lot of times it's both. But I just thought that leave it to John to, do the hokey pokey in an airplane. But I mean, they'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. And I wasn't even on the dang plane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when we flew one time on a Delta flight from Atlanta to Nashville with John for one of the exchanges. He got up and pretended he was the stewardess, trying to give us all the directions. That was memorable. That's unforgettable. But I think the key denominator in that, Dana, is the laughter. You know, when you can laugh with people, there's something
Yeah.
bonding about laughter. We laughed so much, our group this time at family reunion. We just we just laughed a lot, and I think that makes it memorable and unforgettable also when you can add some fun with laughter in there.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Um, in this, the reason why I pulled out this book that we both love, "Win the Day" by Mark Batterson, is because there were a couple things in here that when I was reading it, I thought, man, that's how people are unforgettable. And a couple of things in here, he talks about flipping the script, and that people that are unforgettable, they flip the script, meaning like even in their head,
Mhm.
they flip the script. And there were a couple stories in here, but one that I loved so much when it came to flipping this script, and it's just a page. I'll just read it really fast, but it says, when Bo Eason was 9 years, I hope I'm saying the last name right. Eason was 9 years old. He drew a self portrait on a piece of paper. I've seen the sketch up close and personal. The stick figure isn't impressive, artistically speaking. The caption beneath it is what caught my eye: the best safety in the NFL. That is the goal Bo set for himself at age 9. There was one small problem with that Goliath sized goal. I mean, literally. At Bo's first practice with his high school football team, every player was measured and weighed. Bo was found wanting. He measured 5 feet tall and weighed 100 pounds. Based on the coach's expression, Bo Eason had no business playing football. After practice, Bo said to his dad, "The coach thinks I'm too small to play." And without skipping a beat, Bo's dad said, "Did they measure your heart? All I want is one moment like that as a father." Can you remember to say something like that? Talk about nailing the landing. And it gets even better. His dad then told him a story that would flip his script and alter his identity forever. Nothing is more valuable to a rancher than his ranch dog. As a former ranch hand, Bo's father would know. The ranch dog does the work of 10 men herding the cattle and getting them where the rancher wants them to go. When a ranch dog has puppies, the rancher identifies the smallest puppy, the runt of the litter, by tying a piece of yarn around its neck. After 12 weeks, the rancher gives away all the puppies except for the runt of the litter. The runt always has to work harder to survive against its bigger brothers and sisters, always. The runt becomes the smartest, the fastest, and the most determined. Of all the puppies, the runt's heart is the biggest. The rancher takes the whole livelihood on that fact. And then it goes on to say Bo Eason actually signed in the NFL and had a contract for 20 years in the NFL. There's 1,696 spots that actually are hired on the NFL, and more than 1 million kids play football and try out. And so it's less than 2%. The odds are less than 2% of guys that make it in the NFL. And so he goes on to say all this stuff, but I love this because he said, what story are you telling yourself, and where do they come from? Are they helping or hurting you? Are they accurate or inaccurate? Are they carefully crafted or off the cuff? Did you listen to your parents or your doubters or your haters? Have you given editorial control to the author and the perfecter of your faith? And when I read that, I thought, like, that's unforgettable. People that do
Mhm.
things like that and say things like that and they overcome something that makes
Mhm.
them an unforgettable person. You know what I mean? Like that flips the script and changes people's lives.
Yeah, I love that. I wonder if that's the we just watched a movie, I think it's American Giant or something. I think that may be about the same guy. It was so good. It was
Oh, I wonder. I don't
very
know.
similar story. That's awesome. And I think we can think big and we can think little. And one of the things I put on the little things is little things of just doing what you say you'll do. Don't you feel like
Yeah.
so many times
Yep.
people say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," and then they just don't do it? And
Yep.
even just saying please and thank you and my pleasure and things that are just simple little things that are so easy for us to get off of because it feels old fashioned or something our grandparents taught us, or in my case, my parents. But
Yep.
just do the things you say you'll do. It's real simple. I
Yep.
think in today's age, that would be super memorable, is just for you to do what you say you'll do.
Yep. Love that. Yep. Did you have any last thoughts on Unforgettable?
Yeah, I put a couple of things. Do what others want. Do an experience when you can. Instead of a gift, do an experience if you can. Listen, truly listen. You know, when someone talks.
Yeah.
Um, I also put go the extra mile.
Yeah.
Because I think people are just kind of looking for shortcuts. And then there's a story in Harvey McKay's book. Um, and I can't remember which book it's out of, because he's an old author, but he has such wisdom in there about getting to know the people so personally that when you send a gift, it's truly personal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
truly something that person loves or knows, or about that person, uh, and talk ideas, not about people. I think when I remember the people who talk about ideas,
Yeah.
not the ones that sit around and talk about other people. So just
Yeah. I
talking
think
big ideas and about ideas rather than other people.
yeah. Yeah. You said
And
a
then
couple of
I would
oh, go ahead.
say, when you hear your gut tell you to do something and take action and kindness for another person. I just got a text on the way. Actually, it was on the way to Little Palm earlier this month, and it came from a girl that she said, "You may not even remember this, but years ago you told me to read the book Redeeming Love," which I tell everybody to read the book Redeeming
Oh
Love.
yeah.
And she said, "You don't know this, but I was going through a divorce at the time, or had been through a divorce at the time, and just how impactful that was." And I know it. I remember the time, and all I did was listen to my intuition. My gut kind of guides me. My intuition, Holy Spirit, kind of guides me to say,
I was
"Hey,
gonna say I think it's the Holy Spirit. Yep.
yeah." For me, I know it's for sure the Holy Spirit, but I think that's where my intuition comes from if I listen to it. But
Yeah.
just when you feel someone needs something, act on that. Don't let that moment pass, because you just never know when you're impacting someone, and uh, and it'll mean something to them, and years later they'll remember it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, love all those. I just had two more things. You said a couple of mine. The two that I don't think we talked about. One I wrote down was to I think unforgettable people. They know how to be the energy in the room, not
Mm,
adapt to the energy in the room. And I think that that's so important, especially when you're a leader, and especially when people are going through a lot of hard times. I think sometimes it's easy to want to go back down or adapt to other people's energy. But when I think of people that are unforgettable, like they have their own energy and nobody else
mm,
gets in their way, of carrying out their own energy. And then the last thing that I had written down was just I think when you're unforgettable, you're right with yourself. Like you've got a confidence about you that makes you just right with yourself. I don't know like another way to say it, but you know what I mean? You're confident, not ego, not overly confident, but you're right enough with yourself that you can be unforgettable and you can think of other things. And actually, I had one more. And some people struggle with this and some people don't. But I think you have to be a little bit creative to be
mhm,
unforgettable, or you got to have
mhm,
great creative people around you. Because a lot of unforgettableness to me comes with creativity.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, on the energy part, I think energy that isn't just fake energy, but there's
Yep.
actually
Totally.
authenticness to it, and there's actually follow through with it. And then
Yeah.
on the creative, I think part of the creative is when something is so natural to you, you see an opportunity that nobody else can see, and you act on it in a way that's creative or unique.
Yeah.
One of the things I think about is a gentleman that we recruited recently, a few years back, decided to take an article that was written about him and frame it, and put it and send and give it to him. And it was a pretty big deal, right? You got to frame it, you got to mat it, you got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if I had, I just felt at the moment it was the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
then years later, I would come to find out that that was something that was important enough to be the only thing he's got hanging on his wall. And
Wow.
so just looking for those opportunities. And I think because uh, that kind of is natural to me. If I have a list of people and I'm intentional about building a relationship with them,
Mhm.
that's where creativity is going to come in for me. I'm
Totally.
not
Yeah.
naturally a creative person, but if it's my lane and it's something
Mhm.
that's super important to me, and
Yeah.
I become trained to watch for those opportunities, that's when you'll see the opportunity. So I think it's, some of the people listening say, well, that's not easy or natural for me. Well, it's not easy or natural for anybody until you work that muscle for a while, until you
Totally
learn to say, okay, I'm going to look for those opportunities. And once you train yourself to do that, you'll see them all over the place.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you are right, because you're great at that. And you get very creative when it comes to that stuff. So I think people just need to focus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would wrap up by saying, here's the thing. It can be anything from simple, just doing what you say you're going to do, saying, please, thank you. Looking for what is a gap. What are people missing right now, and being willing to step into that gap? And what is it that that the world needs? Because I think if it's missing one place, it's missing everywhere. And when you see that, be willing to be that light or that example or that person, because I think that's when it becomes unforgettable, when nobody else is doing it, when the rest of the world is already forgotten,
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be major things. It can be simple things.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I would just add, just keep it on the front of your mind about being unforgettable. Just that, the reason why I thought it would be great, well, we thought it'd be great to do this, is just to get it on the forefront of people's mind, and to go back to thinking about whether it's in your business or with your family, or, what it is, how can you make something an unforgettable moment for somebody, and how can you be more of an unforgettable person? I just think when you are that way, you can't help but great things follow. Like, success just comes, and talent is attracted to you, and all those other things. So I think this was a good one, good refresher for everybody to just get it on their mind.
Yeah, and I'd say last thing I would add with this is watch for when other people are unforgettable to you. What is it about what they did or said or how they acted that was unforgettable to you, and start looking for those. Because I think once you're looking for them, you'll start to see them in places that maybe you didn't see them before.
Yep. Love that. I'm writing that down.
All right. Well, remember, if you have not hit subscribe, please go ahead and hit that button right now. And the greatest compliment you give Dana and I is a 5-star review, so that other people can find these episodes. If you have an opportunity, a challenge, or a question, or a guest that you think would be amazing for everything life and real estate, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I guess I'll see you next week.
Okay. Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.